Hello everybody. Just come across this sort of by this Tory transgender councillor in Bolton, who has reported a Labour opponent for calling her a he. The headline says for calling her a man during a meeting, but that's not correct. Apparently this councillor had, Labour councillor had been calling this Tory transgender councillor a he during a council meeting, and took offence and decided to report the so-called crime to the police, because the council had misgendered her during a recent meeting by repeating addressing her as a he and him instead of she and a her. There you go, there's the fucking twat. Arsehole, demented lunatic. This is the kind of lunatics we've got in today's society now, that you can be taken to court or whatever, reported to the police for stupid nonsense. I mean, Jesus Christ, look at the Adam apples on that. God almighty. Anyway, let's get away from that. There's the geezer in question. 69, he's a 69-year-old retired senior management lecturer who served as town's mayor. He insisted it was a slip of the tongue. He offered to apologise after he had heard that he apparently caused offence. Now, the thing I find extraordinary about this is, if this was the case, why wasn't this brought up during the meeting? Why wasn't this dealt with internally with Bolton Council? Why was this reported to the police? Why is police time being wasted, money and time being wasted on this kind of nonsense? The police have actually downgraded it from so-called hate crime. I can't know what else have they downgraded it to. But the point is that it's just using up people's time. It's just ridiculous. Totally and utterly ridiculous. You know, this should have been done internally. And the councillor didn't know that anything happened until the day after, when he was told. He offered to apologise for the so-called mistake. But the point is, this so-called transgender Tory councillor obviously didn't have any balls to go up to him and say, after the meeting, he says, look, excuse me, you continuously misrepresented me by calling me a he, and you know, I'm not happy about that. Now, I'm sure that if she or he or whoever bloody hell it is had gone to the councillor and said, look, this is what's happened, I'm sure he would have apologised. I said, oh, I'm sorry, didn't realise what happened again. And that should have been the end of the matter. Left, you know, there was a councillor in Australia who was one of their committees, similar to the one in the UK. It's based on, you know, the UK's council committee, and apparently this feminist, nasty feminist councillor suddenly said to this guy who was talking, suddenly she said, oh, I love the way you're mansplaining, or whatever they call it now. And he suddenly said, excuse me, what do you mean by man? What's mansplaining? Do you want to explain that? And she went into this nonsense about what it means. But the point about it is that this was being filmed as well. He came back and tore her to pieces. I mean, he was absolutely brilliant. He came back, defended himself really, really well, showed her at each point that, the term man-splaining is a sexist term. This woman said, it's quite a commonly used term. And people were saying, whether it is or not, you can't just, it's nonsense. They're in a council meeting, and you're bringing gender into this meeting for whatever reason. But he stood up for himself and gave it back to her in a fantastic way. Now, this guy could have easily said, right, I'm going to report you to the police for hate crime. You're using a term that I find offensive, blah, blah, blah. Just wasting people's time. This arsehole has decided to report him to Bolton Council, and also report him to the police. For what reason? This should have been done internally. It should have been done at the moment when there was the meeting was being held. Should have stood up and said something and said, look, would you please not say that? I find it offensive that you're calling me a he. I'm actually a she. Blah blah blah. I'm sure the council would have, apologise. But no, this arsehole feels at every point, I'm going to take you to the police. I'm going to report you to hate crime. I'll tell you this now. This kind of thing is going to piss people off. There's going to be a lot of people out there who are going to be reported for silly little things like this. And instead of it, it's called so-called hate crime. If this is going to start wasting people's time, there's going to be a lot of people who's going to start. I think it's going to backfire, especially on these transgender, women. There was a girl apparently walking past the building site, and she got catcalled. And I'm not sure whether I can't remember whether she reported it to the police as a hate crime. She certainly reported to the company, and the company decided to deal with it internally. Fine, fair enough. That's really how it should be dealt with. It should be dealt with internally. You should get in contact with the company, inform them that this has happened, and you didn't feel happy and comfortable, blah blah blah, and then let them deal with it. Be done with it. It doesn't need to go to the police, wasting police time, wasting everybody's time. I've been called, wignog, Sambo on a building site, and I've called the bastard out. Let's come down, you effing cunt. Come down. You want to call me straight to my face? And I've dealt with that person then and then, and they've apologised, and I've made it very clear to them. Don't be doing that to people walking past and all this kind of business. You're on a building site, you've been paid by a company, etc., etc. So look, I sympathise a little bit only, if that's what she's, she wants to be called a she, fine. But at the end of the day, he's made a mistake. It should have been dealt internally. Stop wasting police time. It's just ridiculous and silly. I hate this kind of thing. I hate stupid. You see the smug twat's face on here. Look. You don't have any sympathy for a twat like that. I mean, just complete. You look like a bloke with long hair. That's it. It's simple as that. And you've got no sympathy from me. So piss off, muppet.